إينوكس بحكيكي بعدين.
Hello, welcome to the Computational Arabic workshop. My name is Rita Haddoub. I'm the one who started this repository and since 1 year, and I'm happy to be sharing it with members of the Fab Lab community, people who are interested in open source practices and computation in general. As well as the Fabricating Commons theme for this year, which I find very relevant to my work and practice as an emerging computational artist. So I'm currently based in Beirut right now. For this reason, this is a pre-recorded video, and you know, the electricity, the network is not so stable here. But anyway, I'll be live in the chat if you have any questions, and if the network's good, I can try to pop in on the webcam. So you should find the presentation slides attached to this workshop. I'm just gonna go through the agenda real quick. It shouldn't be too long. I'm just going to introduce the GitHub page. Because Computational Arabic is basically a repository on GitHub, so as well as a GitHub pages site. And then I'm going to demonstrate tools for how you can contribute to the repository, as well as for you how you can just contribute to your own exploration in Arabic computation. So you have how to practice Arabic touch typing using software Clavaro, which is what I found to be the easiest, as well as how to digitize Arabic text, so like how to scan any old Arabic books or papers or pamphlets and then make them into searchable PDFs using the Tesseract software. So everything here, by the way, is through terminal, so using command line. So I hope you know how to use this. Otherwise, yeah, maybe the workshop's not for you, because this is how I'm approaching to download and use all these softwares. Okay, and then finally, if you're interested, you can ask me to become a collaborator to the repository, and so thus you can add your own findings. Whatever you scan, you can upload it to the repository yourself. And yeah, I'd like this repository to not just be charged by me, but to have a generative, collaborative approach in defining and building on the Computational Arabic archive, you can say. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at the page. So this is the GitHub page. So as you can see, I'll just go to the categories. So there's currently a shadow library, some drawings, and a tag called Computational Arabic. So first of all, the motivation here is that it's really hard to find any programming or computing terminology in the Arabic language. And more than that, at least in Lebanon, public libraries are a problem, and anyway, new publications aren't forming. So like, in order for me to even start looking for like books and information on Arabic computing, I was going through to really old vintage shops, secondhand bookshops. For example, this book here is Al-Murshad for Computer, the computing manual. I've scanned it, let's do an example, and I've used OCR, so optimal character recognition. So that makes it a searchable PDF. Would it load? Okay, so for example, what I mean by OCR is that you can actually copy paste. Yes, this is all the text. And you see, you get to learn like al-computer, al-khas, personal computer. You get to learn terms in Arabic, and the nice thing about this is you can even search in the textbook. So command find. Like I'm gonna have a look for. So fara means mouse in Arabic, and here we're seeing, everywhere where this word is written. We even have a diagram, surah, picture, mechanical mouse. So you can actually search it. This is an old book which has finally been digitized, and yeah. Okay. This is another it's by a Lebanese poet, and it's not just limited to computing. I think computing has a wide array of subjects which are able to define what computing means. I'll get to that in a second. Okay, as well, like there's tutorials here for the categories. You can even just find sometimes just terminology, Arabic terminology without anything. So al-fada al-kamil means latent space. Okay, so this is the repository. How to add to it, GitHub. Okay. And this is the repository, so everything that you've seen is usually going in the content, in the posts. So it's like basically a blog. I'm using Hugo blog, blog, and I just do it all through terminal, and I'll show you how later. Of how I arrived to creating this project. So while taking a course in machine learning using Python, I was simultaneously writing my dissertation on the sociological and philosophical implications found in computing. I became aware that many of the advances in artificial intelligence and machine learning were always influenced by and trying to simulate sociological structures or philosophical contemplation. Before modern neural networks, which are trying to mimic the brain's learning power to achieve self-learning methods, there was what is now called good old-fashioned AI. So machine learning, later called artificial intelligence, came with the realization that giving the computer a bunch of facts, numbers, not just for mathematical solving, but symbolic numbers which represent features of the mind, could be fed into the machine and processed at a faster and much larger scale than human intelligence alone. It found its use notably in the organization and categorization of literature, connecting large and even global scale libraries through databases. The symbolic information processing method became known as artificial intelligence. However, by the 1950s, AI peaked its degeneration for being critiqued as too linearly instructed. The modeling of artificial intelligence moved from symbolically representing features of the mind with numbers and began looking to simulate the brain's learning power instead. This shift in machine intelligence modeling drew its inspiration from philosophy and neuroscience and its modelers were referred to as neural net modelers, or also the connectionists. So there's a time that AI even took the name Heideggerian AI based on the philosophy of German intellect Martin Heidegger. The concept of Heideggerian AI was that objects should be seen as functions and defined by the purpose of their representing agent. Rather than symbolizing a flower, for example, we would see a function in order to surprise my mother or in order to decorate the flat. So no longer symbolizing this is a flower, but it is a function. This is in order to make my mom happy, for example. Seeing the objects as a function rather than a symbol with fixed properties is Machine Learning's motivation to move artificial intelligence from symbolic information processing to more self-learning and non-representational methods through neural networks. Neural networks ask how it can reach the object rather than represent it. Neural network modelers work towards abandoning representations and making analogies different. Learning about algorithms myself, it became more clear that you cannot understand and improve them without references to other bodies of work. Simone de Beauvoir's literary work called On Ambiguity, or Pour une morale de l'ambiguïté, was very helpful in forming my understanding of the latent space, or the hidden layer and in-between space of neural nodes, which has now become a point of study for contemporary artificial intelligence, as well as for other modern scholars like computer technologist Memo Acton and his work on latent storytelling, or anthropologist Susan Lee Starr and her idea of the boundary object, or sociologist Annette Singh's latent comments in her book Mushroom at the End of the World. So computing and machine learning are not reserved for mathematicians as a private branch of inquiry. In fact, mathematical formulas only try to simulate the complexities of the planet, world, and societies by abstracting them into quantifiable measurements. So computing and machine learning are not reserved for mathematicians as a private branch of inquiry. In fact, mathematical formulas only try to simulate the complexities of the planet, world, and societies by abstracting them into quantifiable measurements. And unquantifiable instances are the breadth and life of such measurements. So in the attached presentation slides, there's a quote by Hubert Dreyfus from his book What Computers Can Do. I'm going to read it. A symbolic computer being fed rationally ordered representations ignores the possibility that bodily skills and imagination are necessary for acquiring common sense. Imagination is a pervasive structuring activity by means of which we achieve coherent, patterned, unified representations. It is central to human rationality, to our rational capacity to find connections. So, this is what fuels and motivates the creation of computational Arabic. In the Arab world, there's not Heidegger, Pierre Bourdieu, or even the famous Utah teapot, which is the standard reference object for computer graphics, but creating a database which focuses on regional occurrences by sharing and collecting an intersectional array of findings, builds and supports algorithmic structures that are in relation to societal practices. So yes, as you'll see in the repository, it's very intersectional. There's graffiti, there's my own sketches, there's linking local vegetables, nature of code, society of code, who knows. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate some tools which I found helpful in my journey into Arabic computing. The first is getting to learn your keyboard in Arabic. Even if you're not fluent in Arabic, touch typing exercises will train your muscle memory to find letters and eventually even transcribe a text. You'll also be practicing your reading as somehow, so it's like two birds in one stone. Okay, so let's have a look using Clavaro. Okay, so this is Clavaro touch typing. I'm just gonna first demonstrate how it works. Terminal. Everything will be in terminal. I just write Clavaro, it's very simple. Okay. I'm gonna use Arabic keyboard. And there's many languages, and Arabic is one of them. This is the rare softwares which has Arabic. And yeah, so the introduction is just to learn how to place your fingers, which is touch typing. The basics is to just learn the keys. So like with every level they start to introduce more keys or letters. The first one would be the easiest. B, T, B, B, T, B, T, B, T. So it's really like it starts as total beginners, just practicing 2 letters. So if you do this every day, you're gonna be really fast in Arabic touch typing without even knowing how to read. Or this will help you learn how to read. Okay. Back to menu. And eventually you go from basics to practicing with random keys. So it's not like necessarily that they're next to each other. And then practice with random words. And finally practice with complete text, which is the most fun because you get to read and write and practice your touch typing all at the same time. Okay. This is Clavaro. I'm gonna close it because it's really using my energy. 10 minutes. The nice thing about this is that you can even import your own text. So eventually if you scan a book, then you can copy paste it and just read it all as you practice your touch typing, or at least like practice on text that you'd like to read or you'd like to just reread. So yeah, I really recommend using this. At least for me it was the easiest and best option. And in terms of installing it, if you're on MacBook and you have Homebrew, you just write this one-line coder on terminal. But there should be instructions here. Like you can just search how to install Clavaro. Okay. So now to digital libraries. So it was really difficult for me to find any working examples of OCR for Arabic text. So I ended up contacting the University of Beirut, who have been working on a digital collections library. And I asked them to recommend me any OCR software, and they were very helpful in telling me what to do. And then I wrote a tutorial which is which is available as well. Yeah. Which you can follow, Guide for Arabic OCR, and you just follow the steps. So AUB Library's digital collection is a gateway to our digitized and preserved collections featuring manuscripts, maps, photos, posters, books, multimedia, and other resources. This online growing repository aims to continuously disseminate knowledge about AUB, the region, our history, and cultural heritage for the purpose of research, teaching, and education. It's also a hub for collaboration with other departments, faculty, scholars, in addition to external partners, libraries, and institutions to support digital scholarship initiatives. This is a really good online collection of many different, so not just AUB publishers or contributors, many different organizations. And we have our own as well. So here, another post on the Computational Arabic page is this Mawrid al-Makatib al-Raqmiyya, which means digital libraries resources. And I just put 3, which I know, and if you know others, please do add them. So AUB libraries, there's Memory of the World, which is mainly English, but they have some Arabic as well. So yeah, the shadow library and digital library as a whole is really big, and yeah, there's plenty of documentation and practices on this. Yeah, Memory of the World is a network of interconnected shadow libraries, each maintained locally and independently from the others, kind of like the shadow library here. So, yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate how to use the Tesserask OCR to scan and digitize Arabic texts. So as an example, this is a book I've already scanned. I just have a very low quality scanner, but it does the trick. So if it's better, if you have a better scanner, it's not necessarily required. Even taking pictures with your phone is good enough. Okay, so this is the scan here. So it's a TIFF file because it's multiple images all in one. And yeah, you can see that it's just an image. Each page is just an image. So how to move from this to actually being able to detect the text. So you can follow my OCR tutorial here, but I'm just going to demonstrate how it works. So once again, terminal, and it's very simple. Okay. So first you write, as it says, it's just simple. You write tesseract, then the image name, so the input, which is here, and then the output, I want it to go there, and I want it to be called the workshop. then the language is Arabic, and then I want it to be a PDF, and that's it. So it's created the workshop PDF, and it's starting page by page to detect the texts. Shouldn't take too long. It's quite fast. So errors is usually like if the page has no text or just an image,